If your coworker seems to be having a rough day or they seem just a bit grumpy, well, watch out, because a new article in New York Magazine says that their emotions could be contagious.
So how can you stop what they're calling emotional contagion? Psychotherapist Dr. Robi Ludwig is here to tell us. So what is emotional contagion?
It's a little bit like catching a cold. So if somebody is feeling depressed or anxious, if you're around that person for a long period of time, you can catch that feeling state. So we actually can spread our emotions around. And sometimes people will say, oh my God, I'm feeling a little down or I'm feeling anxious, and they may not know why. And if they think about it, perhaps they were around somebody who was in that mindset.
All right, so I don't want that to happen to me.
No.
How do I protect myself from this?
Well, there are a lot of easy ways to protect yourself. Number one, if you know ahead of time that somebody's a little bit of a Debbie Downer, you can protect yourself. So you can almost say to yourself, I know this person is very negative. I'm going to prepare myself so I don't get sucked in. That's one really great way to do it. Or you were talking about having an office and closing the door. But in reality, having a little bit of physical distance from somebody who is negative can be really helpful. And then self-talk, just saying to yourself, I know this person's in a negative mindset. I'm not going to get sucked into that. I'm going to rely on my own thoughts and feelings to keep myself centered.
And that's just being aware. Being aware of it.
It's being aware and knowing that it can happen, because I think a lot of people may not know that you can catch a feeling just like you can catch a cold.
Oh, I think people, well, my question is, what about, you gave some great recommendations there, but what about if you live with somebody who's a Debbie Downer?
Yeah.
Come on, everybody knows that's the question on everybody's mind.
Right?
Everybody wants to know. I don't care about work because I go home from work.
Right.
It happens when I go home and, you know,
listen, sometimes you need to allow somebody to be negative and say, you know, that's their perspective, but I'm not going to allow that to be my perspective. Or sometimes you can convince your partner to think in a different way. So I call that in my business redefining, helping the person you live with to look at their situation from a different perspective that's healthier, that's happier.
You know, I practice some yoga, and you know, the thing about yoga is you need to surround yourself with positive energy.
Right.
And it starts from within.
Right.
So then it spreads to the people around you. So could this be the same as well?
Absolutely.
The bad with the good?
Absolutely. And the people that we choose to be around influence us in so many ways, in terms of how we think about life, in terms of how successful we are, in terms of how we eat, how physically fit. So it's really important to know ahead of time, if you want to be a certain way, who are you hanging out with?
Right.
Who are your friends? And if you think that isn't influencing you, it certainly is. So knowing that can be tremendously helpful in terms of being mentally healthy.
because
Look how happy we all are. We're all happy and healthy.
Christine's giving me the side eye. I was like, what?
Because that's the way we think.
Well, because I want to know who's more grumpy, men or women.
Everybody knows that, like, so, you know,
It's a great question.
We've been talking a lot about, like, the negatives of people, but you can also be, like, a happy-go-lucky person and have that rub off on people, too, which I am. That,
yes, I must say, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, Miguel? Floor director?
Right.
Right, the BAs that sit over here?
At least.
And I call that a mentally healthy person, that kind of feeling state also spreads. And happy people can help you experience the world differently, which is, you know, a great thing. In terms of men or women, I think women are more expressive about emotions because we tend to talk a lot about how we're feeling. But, you know, you can have a grumpy guy or a happy guy, or a grumpy woman or a happy woman. I don't think it's so simple as just based on gender.
All right. Dr. Robi Ludwig, thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thank
Great
you.
conversation.